everybody. Welcome to day 30 of October. And today's challenge is treat. So we are going to make a trick or treat dish to hand out candy. There aren't that many kids that come to my house, but I typically get about 10 to 15 every year. And I love seeing their costumes. At the end of today's video, I will go into what it takes to get things completed after it's been made on the potter's wheel, because these won't be ready to use tomorrow. It's still wet clay. So I'll go into that in more detail at the end of today's video. Enjoy the making. So that's the making of the initial piece, which you've seen throughout the month, where we take the ball of raw clay, throw it on the potter's wheel, create the form. Some of the videos you have seen me trim a little bit, but that's the next step. So once you've taken the wet clay piece and removed it from the pottery wheel, you let it dry from anywhere a couple days, could be a week, might even be more than a week. It all depends on the humidity in the air, the size and thickness of the piece itself. And the thicker pieces take longer to dry because you want to make sure they dry evenly. So keeping them covered. So some of the thicker pieces take up to 2 weeks before it's ready to go into the initial firing, which is called a bisque firing. That process takes the raw clay and creates a ceramic material. So it actually melts or begins to melt all of the little rocks suspended in the clay, which clay is just a bunch of rocks suspended in water. It actually creates ceramic material by melting those and fusing them together as they cool. And that's the beginning of the process called vitrification. So once it's come through its bisque firing, which my bisque firing goes to 1948 degrees, and once it comes out of that firing, then we either paint or dip a glaze material on it, which is a high silica mix that gets painted onto the actual piece itself, directly onto the bisque material. And then it goes into the kiln again and fires for a second time. And that is usually the final firing, unless I'm adding special details on afterwards, like decals or gold or any of those upgrade items, so to speak, that I will put on a piece to give it a little extra pizzazz than just its basic glaze colorant. But when it goes to the glaze firing, it goes over 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit. I work in a mid-range, so it's typically around cone 5 or cone 6. And that actually melts that material that we painted on, and it becomes a glassified coating. And that makes the ceramic waterproof, food safe, and able to be, washed and used every day. Each of those kiln firings, it takes anywhere from 7 to 12 hours, depending on, how much is in the kiln, how much I want to make sure, like delicate wise, like sometimes you want a slower firing or a faster firing, depending on the piece. There's a lot of science, math, and finesse involved in knowing how to fire your pieces successfully. So anyway, it goes through each of those firings, and it takes about 24 to 36 hours for a full cycle. So it heats up for, let's just say, 12 hours, and then the kiln turns off, and then I let it do a natural cool. And it takes usually about 24 hours after that point for the kiln to cool down to the point where we can open it up and get the pieces out. It's very insulated, but that allows for a really nice slow cool of the piece with that thick insulation. And that's why pieces can take weeks, up to a month, sometimes a little longer than a month, depending on what my kiln schedule is, because I fire for other potters as well. It takes a long time, start to finish, for the process. So there are tricks that I can do to speed up the firing and to speed up the drying phase, which is typically the longest point in the process. So you may see some of these items like the ones that we've just thrown over the past couple days. You might see them later into November, early December, as we do those reveals. But the bulk of everything should be out in the next couple weeks. And we already have the first half of the month out and ready to show you guys this Friday. So if you have any questions about the process, let me know. I've studied ceramics for a long time, and I really enjoy teaching. I teach at a local ceramic studio, in historic Savage Mill called Clay Coven, and I love teaching. I love sharing the knowledge. So that's what this channel is for me to build a community of people interested in ceramics. Even if you don't have access to a studio or you have no desire to actually make ceramics of your own, um, you can still learn. It's a fascinating hobby. It's a fascinating career choice. And I wish I had done it sooner. That's the only thing, I wish it didn't take me my first semester of college to get hooked on clay. And then I've just been doing it ever since. So, um, enjoy today's video. I know this was a bit of a ramble, so thanks for sticking to the end if you did.